Okay, so I want to go over two things that I think greatly improve people's renders. And these are two things that I think people forget to do a lot, especially when they're just starting out or, are in a rush, aka me when I'm in a rush. And those two things are making sure there are no sharp edges in your scene and making sure you can see some surface imperfections and other smudges and things like that on any surface. And you can look at this in real life very easily. Like if you just look around the room you're in, you'll notice that there are no exact sharp edges on anything. Everything has even a very small little bevel ranging to like a ginormous round bevel. And every object, no matter how shiny it is going to have some smudges or dust or anything on it that's keeping it from being a perfect glossy reflection. So a lot of times when things look fake is when you have a scene like this where you have a very sharp edge like this that's not letting any light naturally wrap around, and you're having like floor and walls and stuff like that that are just a very like matte glossiness. So let's go in and add some surface imperfections and bevels, and we're gonna do this all using stuff inside of Blender. We're not gonna be importing any like external roughness maps or anything like that. So let's hop in with the bevels because that's really easy. So you just go in to edit mode with tab, and then you can select any edges that you wish to be beveled. In this case, I want this whole ceiling to have bevels. So I'm going to Shift Alt click, and that's going to select all these edges in a line. And it's really useful for when you have like a lot of edges so that you're not just having to go like one by one and select them. And I'm just gonna give these a nice bevel. I'm gonna add in some more edge loops to make it nice and smooth, and something like that will be good. And I'm gonna auto shade this smooth. And as you can see already now, we have some light wrapping around the edge here, and it just looks a lot more smooth and a lot more convincing and less like a video game. So let's go into the shading editor here, and we'll start with the floor. So you can see I have this basic floor texture set up with a brick texture here, and if you want to know how to make tiles like this, I have a whole tutorial about it on my page. And I'm just going to go in, I'm going to add in a noise texture, and we can see here what this looks like. So if I drag the factor straight into the surface here, this is what the noise is doing. And I'm gonna want to make the scale a bit bigger because again, we want to make this floor kind of smudged, like it's seen some days. We're gonna turn up the detail a bit, and you can mess with the roughness as much as you want. I kind of want it to be grainy, so I'm gonna put the roughness more towards 1. And I'm gonna put this back like it was, and I'm gonna plug this factor into the roughness, like so. And I'm going to add in a color ramp. And what this is going to do, if I plug it into the right one, like this, what this is going to do is the noise texture is going into the color ramp, right? And this will allow us to control the level of the noise. And when it comes to roughness maps, black means there's 0 roughness. So this is going to be complete gloss, like you can see it in here. And white is the opposite. If it's white, it's going to be complete, like matte, no gloss whatsoever. And we want a nice mix of the two. We'd never want it to be completely perfectly glossy, especially for a floor like this. Like we want it to imply that it's pretty glossy, very tiled. But again, people are walking over this, so even no matter how much they polish it, it's still going to be not perfectly polished. But I don't want it to be completely matte either, so I'm going to kind of clamp this down so it is within layers of gray like this. And you can see now that that's adding some little, let me zoom in so we can really see what I'm doing. It's adding some nuance to the floor, whereas before, it was very flat. Now we've got some actual like difference in the light, and you can get real in depth with this. So let's take this to the next level. I'm going to add in a mix color here and plug it in like this. And I'm going to duplicate this noise texture, and I'm gonna make the scale maybe more like 7, and I'm gonna plug this into the factor. So we have this factoring it. I'm going to duplicate this color ramp and put it in here so we can control this. And we can see what it's doing. I want to turn down that detail maybe to 2, something like this. So now we have some actual like splotches being factored in, and you can control how reflective or how not reflective those splotches are. Yeah, something like that is going to help a lot. And again, if you want to take it one step further, you can always find images of like footprints and stuff online and plug that into. But just for making materials within Blender, this helps a lot to just throw in some random noise. And you know, you can scale it no matter how much you want too, so that makes it really nice for customizing it very easily. I'm going to copy this same setup. So I'm going to select all these nodes. I'm just going to copy them. And I'm going to go to this wall. And I'm going to paste these in. And we're going to use this for the same purpose. I'm going to plug this straight into the roughness. And now you can see we have a very, very shiny wall. But you can also see we have imperfections in that. And that looks really nice. But let's tone this down because so far it's looking kind of like plastic and that's not exactly what we want. So I'm going to just take all these blacks and just brighten them up a little bit so we're not reaching such a dark value. You can drag these down too. And let's take this. Just get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. And let's see. I want to balance this in a way so that we're getting kind of a best of both worlds. And you'll come to learn soon that this is basically just a juggling game of trying different things until it looks good. So you just have to kind of come in here and mess with the settings and tweak it. Like there's no end all be all. Even with pre-made textures and materials, if you just plug them into your scene, it's usually not going to look amazing. You usually have to go in and do like a little bit of manual work to get it working the way you want it. But this is looking all right, actually. I kind of like this. I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to take this mix. I'm going to plug it into the normal. I'm going to take a bump map. I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to plug this, instead of going into the normal, it's going to go into the height. And now, whoa, we have a very, very scratchy wall. So I want to turn this distance down like 0.1. And now it's looking more like drywall. And I want to turn the strength down to something very small, like 0.12. Just to give it a little bit of depth as well. So we've got some bump and some movement to the wall, and that's going to help too. Like even if we were to just get rid of the roughness right now, just having the bump alone would be adding some extra little fidelity, but the two of them together is going to really make this shine. Going back to the floor, we could even do a similar treatment on this too, if we wanted to. So I'm going to duplicate this bump map. I'm going to put it here. This bump map is going to go into the normal. I'm going to take this, I'm going to plug it into the height, like so. And then make sure this is about the same, 0.1, 0.1. Just to give it like a little bit of warp and a little bit of crunchiness. So you can even see now, like looking at this, now we've got some distortion of these tiles, which is really cool. Like, because that also helps give it like a little bit of groundedness. Like they're not perfectly molded. They're a little bit warped and they're a little bit distorted, and it's going to help sell the realism of this a lot. Anyways, I hope you all found this useful. I probably will be doing some more texturing videos like this, but these are a lot of just little tricks that I find really, really help out my renders. Anyways, have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next video.